The final bell for the day had just rung, and a heavy silence settled over the classroom. I was the last one left, finishing up an assignment I'd fallen behind on. Rain lashed against the tall windows, casting long, dancing shadows across the empty desks. The janitor, Mr. Henderson, poked his head in. He was a kind, older man with a weary smile. He told me not to stay too late and that he'd lock up behind me. I thanked him and went back to my work. About 20 minutes later, a strange scratching sound started. It seemed to come from the old wooden supply closet at the back of the room. I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just the wind or a branch scraping the building. But the sound grew louder, more rhythmic. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It was insistent, deliberate. My heart began to pound in my chest. I told myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me in the empty school. I tried to focus on my paper, but the scratching was impossible to ignore. It was getting on my nerves. Finally, with a sigh of frustration, I stood up and walked toward the closet. The scratching stopped the moment my hand touched the cool brass knob. Silence. I waited, holding my breath, but heard nothing, shaking my head at my own jumpiness. I turned the knob. The door creaked open, revealing stacks of old textbooks, dusty art supplies, and a forgotten skeleton model from biology class. Nothing out of the ordinary. I closed the door, feeling a little foolish, and walked back to my desk. But as I sat down, I saw something that made my blood run cold. On the dusty surface of my desk, a single sentence was traced in the thin layer of grime. "Don't leave me in here." My bag was already packed. I didn't even bother zipping it up. I grabbed it and ran out of the classroom, not daring to look back. The scratching started again as I sprinted down the hallway, echoing behind me. The next day at school, everything seemed normal. The sun was shining, and the hallways were filled with the usual noise and laughter. I tried to convince myself that I'd just been overtired, that my mind had played a cruel trick on me. During our history class, my teacher, Mrs. Gable, asked me to get some old maps from the supply closet. My stomach lurched. I didn't want to go anywhere near that door. I tried to make an excuse, but she insisted, with trembling hands. I walked to the back of the room. The entire class watched as I hesitated. Taking a deep breath, I pulled the door open. Everything looked the same as yesterday. Dust, books, and the old skeleton model. But then I saw it. Tucked behind a stack of yearbooks was a small, tattered diary. Curiosity got the better of me. I picked it up. The name Lily was written on the cover. I flipped it open. The entries were dated from 50 years ago. They described a girl who was always being teased, a girl who felt invisible. The last entry was chilling. "They locked me in the closet again," it read. "It's so dark. They said they'd come back for me. But it's been hours. I'm so scared. I hear scratching. I think something else is in here with me." A cold dread washed over me. I slammed the diary shut and shoved it back where I found it. As I turned to leave, the closet door slammed shut, plunging me into complete darkness. Panic seized me. I fumbled for the doorknob, but it wouldn't turn. I was locked in. And then, from the corner of the closet, I heard it, a soft, rhythmic scratching sound. Getting closer and closer. It wasn't coming from outside this time. It was inside with me.